This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
Hi, it's Mark Hayward here, talking on my podcast. Please check me out on Twitter. It's Mark Hayward 169. On YouTube and on check out these the rest of my podcasts. I am a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. So what I want to talk about today is something that's called SWOT analysis, and I'll break that down so that you understand. That means it's SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So let's take each of them at a time. The first one is, so what we generally do this for. I did this when I was thinking about starting my own business. It's a good way of being able to collect your thoughts on a given subject, whether it's your idea or whether it's your business, or you can also do this if you want to just break down a project or how you're going to deliver it or a type of your role, whatever it is. So I would advise that this gives a nice balance because it makes you think about the good things that you've got in that business or that idea or whatever it is. It makes you think hard about the weaknesses. Now, obviously, you can't be delusional. You have to be able to understand that there will be weaknesses of your idea. It might not be the idea. It might be you. It might be the market, whatever it is. And I'll talk about that. Then it thinks about the opportunities that are there. So make you actually think about your market, who you're going to sell to. So we'll talk about that. And then what are the threats? So just to go, it's more about understanding the environment and other competitors, for example. So I'll break each of them down into smaller chunks so you're able to understand a little bit more detail about that. So let's start with strengths. So it makes you start to think. So say you've got an idea, and your idea is a service that you're going to provide. Now, it makes you want to think about what is unique about your business. Do you have a unique selling point? And it makes you understand about what makes your business a viable option. So it might be, for example, something unique. It could be something that the competitors are not. Currently, there aren't any competitors. It could be that there is no glass ceiling on your product or your service, i.e. it can be relatable to all businesses, all size companies, and any sector. And you then start thinking about your industry and so is it something that is booming at the moment? Is there something that's really a compelling part of your story, of your service? And makes you think about the people that you've got around you. It could be a mentor, it could be a family friend, it could be a family member, all these types of things which make you have all the strengths that you have as part of your business. It might be experience that you've got about that area. I would say if you're going to start any sort of business, you need to have a good grounding in understanding what that business is about. You can't just do a marketing role for 5 years and then totally left field, then do something in finance and be expected to be able to be credible and be able to sell your financial products, because your knowledge is marketing and it has no relevance to what the business is. So I would say that if you're thinking about starting a business, always base it on things that you know, because things that you don't know are so hard to learn and to pick up very, very quickly. So always have a grounding if you're going to start a business in the area that you want to start your business on. So they were some of the things you can think about for your strengths. If you just work them out and write them down and consider them and think about in each of these on these 4 different sections. I want you just to think about the importance of each of them. So your strengths, you need to have good, strong strengths that are going to impact your business. If you're going to start up a business, if it's a service, for example, you need to have a grounding in that area, know the business, know people that are involved in it. If you need to tap into expertise, then you're able to. And you need the people, whether you do a JV or whatever it is, but you need the key people around you to be able to do this. So that's incredibly important, and I would advise everyone to think about the strengths that they've got. The next thing is the W, is the weaknesses. So what I want you to think about here is, do you have, for example, experience running a business? You might not. Now, that might not necessarily be something to stop you, but it's here in a weakness for you to understand what the areas are that you need to step up on. So if you need to do further reading, studying, sometimes these sorts of things of businesses is just getting in there and just getting on with it and seeing what's actually what's there. But you got to understand the things that you don't do so well. Does that mean that there's a gap in what you can deliver? So you need someone techie or someone financy or someone who has that expertise to be able to JV with? It's very difficult to start a software business if you don't know how to develop code. It's not impossible because, as I've said, you can have JVs that you'd work with a developer and they could be incredibly successful. Steve Jobs never coded anything for Apple, but was the driving force behind some of the greatest ideas that and he had an idea about style, which technology at the time wasn't really thinking about. It was thinking far too practically. So even though you might have a weakness, which might be you can't code or you can't do it, you can supplement those weaknesses. It might be funding. You might need to find a decent chunk of money to start off your business. There are all types of ways of being able to. There's angel funds. There's friends, family. Just getting out there and market yourself in the right area. Going to different events and speaking to people. So from my point of view, being a positive person, I would say that when you look at your weaknesses, you do have to be objective and really think about how these weaknesses are going to affect your business, but it's equally important to think about at that time how to mitigate those weaknesses, how to stop them from majorly impacting your business. So I would say you've got to be fair, you've got to be understanding, you've got to work out what those weaknesses are, but you also, if you want to be successful, you've got to work out how to stop them. So that's important. So moving on to opportunities. So the O. So you've got to think about who you would sell it to. So what's happening in the external market that your business is trying to impact in. So this is just understanding who the client would be, who would be the testers, beta testers, alpha testers, who would really make an impact. It's often very important to do some market research and to be able to understand where those opportunities are, whether it's a demographic, a part of the demographic, or if it's a business, if it's an industry. It's also you've got to understand all aspects of your opportunities. So if you're doing a piece of software, you need to be able to understand ins and outs, because at some stage you're going to have to be standing there selling it to somebody or pitching it to someone for investment. It could be seed funding, it could be angel investors, it could be a loan, whatever it is. But you've got to be able to find those opportunities if you've got to raise money, for example, to be able to better that idea, to get that idea out there, to get that service out there. So you've got to think about all the different areas of the opportunities which are present. So you think logically around, as I said, the market, the business you're doing, who you're going to sell it to, where you're going to get the investment from, and it's really important that you think about those sorts of things, because as someone that has a really good service or product, that doesn't understand who it's selling it to will never be successful. Well, I say never be successful, but you're just starting from a weakened position, because for God's sake, you got to know who you're going to go out there and sell it to when you're actually standing in front of people, and you want people to sign up to your business, whether it is through social media or whether it's directly face to face or over the phone or by email. You got to understand the people that you're trying to sell to. So there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done to understand your opportunities. But a lot of the stuff is going out and just speaking to people, because you never know what happens. You're on a conference, you speak to the guy next door to you or woman next door to you, and you never know what might happen. You'll bump into someone there, an opportunity will come, and you'll have the idea maybe, and then you just need to get that person in, if it's in a JV, for example, that would really make a big difference. So always looking for opportunities, always looking to understand them and find out if it is funding you need to find out where you're going to get that funding from. And secondly, if there's opportunities in the market, you need to be able to understand your market very, very well. So that's the O. And then the last one is threats. So this is what external environmental thing that might affect your business negatively. So someone that is very critical, challenging, it could be described as either. This is where that sort of person coming in and giving a view is very, very important, because people who critique things, you got to understand, if you're running a business, you can't be precious or too much on your ego, because you need to be able to take criticism. Because some people, you might find, it might be a mentor, it might be someone you work with currently, it might be a family friend, it might be a family member, whatever it is, those sorts of people will be able to give you a certain analysis from their point of view. Now, if they are a person that has no credibility in the area, so if someone's sells ice creams and you're asking them or talking to them about finance, they won't be able to give a decent critique. But you've got to be able to understand the threats to your business that are tangible, that might impact. So it might be it's a complicated bit of software, and you need to get all of these different parts to your component to be able to get it to work. You've got to be able to understand who are the competitors, who are the people that are going to, if there are competitors, but who are these people that are going to undercut you, sell cheaper, be able to get suppliers for lower money, be able to employ cheaper people, maybe take interns instead of employ various people. What are the things that might impact your business that at the start you weren't really thinking of? So I would say it's really important to think about this. If you're looking to get a developer or a coder, the threat might be that you might not meet the right person that can do it. You might meet the right person and they don't like you or don't want to work with you, or equally. All these things. If you're working for getting a developer, it might be expensive if you've only got a certain element of seed funding. So you've got to understand the threats to make your business be unsuccessful. So that's a real important point. And as I say, sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's very difficult to actually be that objective to understand what's bad about your business, or what could be better about your business. But it's also just understanding your competitors as well. So it's an interesting thought to really get your mind round the SWOT analysis. I would say it's really, really important to be able to get to grips of what is actually what are the good, the bad, the ugly of your idea, of your proposition, of your engagement, of your product or service. So I would say definitely use the SWOT analysis because I think it can really give a great insight into into your business or idea or service. So that's it. This is my podcast. You can check me out on iTunes and Stitcher. If you want to look me up on Twitter, it's Mark Hayward 169. Please look at my tweets and my thoughts, and I do a lot of video blogs, which I do on YouTube, which I then put on Twitter as well. So check that out. You can also look me up on YouTube, Mark Hayward. So just to recap, my whole premise is that I'm a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. I welcome you to come back to any of my future podcasts because I welcome you. And please give me any thoughts, comments, or ideas about it. Thank you very much.
To make sure millions of people are getting paid on time and in compliance, ADP is staying on top of each new piece of legislation. So when it comes down to it, ADP isn't just a payroll and HR company. We're the company that helps you navigate complexity. Learn more at adp.com.